There are moments in life when you feel an inner stirring, a whisper that echoes through the quiet spaces of your soul. It's not loud, not dramatic, yet it holds a power that moves you to your core. That whisper is divine communication, the subtle language through which God speaks. Many people wait for a sign, a booming voice from the clouds, or a miraculous vision, but the truth is that God rarely shouts. He nudges. He guides through intuition, through sudden ideas, through a gentle feeling that says, something is shifting. That feeling, that intuitive awareness, is how heaven sends you a message before it manifests on earth. The divine doesn't force its way into your life. It waits for your awareness to awaken. You can only hear God's direction when you become still enough to listen. The world around you is loud distractions, doubts, opinions. They drown out the whisper. But when you learn to quiet the noise, you begin to recognize that the guidance you've been searching for has been speaking all along inside your heart. There is a sacred conversation happening constantly between your spirit and the divine, but most people are too busy worrying about what's not working to notice. You have to understand that intuition is not random. That sudden sense that something good or big is coming isn't your imagination, it's divine alignment. God uses your inner knowing to prepare you for what's ahead. It's like a radio signal you can only tune in if you're on the right frequency. Fear, negativity, and doubt put static in that connection, but faith, gratitude, and awareness clear the channel. The more you trust that inner voice, the louder it becomes. The moment you begin to act on those nudges, your life starts to reorganize itself around divine timing. You might not see the full picture yet, but the whisper is proof that heaven is at work behind the scenes. Think about the moments when you felt an unexplainable pull toward a decision, a career move, a relationship, a new idea. Maybe it didn't make sense logically, but something in your spirit said, this is right, and when you followed it, everything began to unfold perfectly, sometimes in ways you couldn't predict. That's what happens when you obey divine intuition. You start to live not by sight, but by insight. God doesn't need to reveal the whole map. He only gives you the next step, because faith is the ability to walk without seeing the entire road. Every great breakthrough in your life starts with obedience to that first whisper. If you ignore it, you miss the unfolding. If you trust it, you align with miracles. When you say, God told me this is about to happen, you're not speaking out of wishful thinking, you're declaring what your spirit already knows. The divine mind has already seen what your physical eyes haven't. There's a spiritual law that says everything that will happen has already happened in the unseen realm. It's simply waiting for your belief to bring it into reality. That's why your intuition is sacred. It's the evidence of what's already done. God plants a sense of knowing in your heart long before it arrives in your life, so that when it comes, you'll recognize it as familiar. You were never meant to stumble into blessings. You were meant to sense them, expect them, and prepare for them. The challenge is that most people doubt what they feel. They think, what if it's just me? What if I'm wrong? But the truth is, divine communication will always carry peace with it. Even when the message is uncomfortable, there's a stillness underneath it, a quiet confidence that says, trust this. The more you learn to discern that peace, the easier it becomes to distinguish God's whisper from the noise of fear. You were designed to receive revelation. Every human soul is equipped with the capacity to hear God's guidance, but few ever develop the sensitivity to recognize it. It's not about religion or ritual, it's about relationship. The Creator speaks to creation continuously. The question isn't whether God is speaking, it's whether you're listening. To listen is to surrender your need to control the outcome. It's to sit in silence long enough to let the divine frequency tune your heart. When you begin to trust that whisper more than the chaos around you, you start to move in rhythm with heaven's plan. The whisper becomes your compass. It won't always make sense, it won't always be convenient, but it will always be right. And when you choose to follow that inner knowing, you position yourself exactly where God needs you to be for what's about to happen next. Everything that is unfolding in your life begins with what you expect. Expectation is not just hope, it is the magnetic force that pulls divine possibilities into physical reality. When God plants a vision in your heart, He's not teasing you with dreams you can't reach. He's revealing a preview of what is already waiting in the unseen realm. The problem is that most people doubt what they are shown. They pray for miracles but expect ordinary outcomes. They speak of faith but think in fear. What you expect consistently becomes what you experience, because the universe responds not to your words but to your vibration, the energy of your belief. When you align your thoughts with faith, you are aligning with heaven's frequency. Every thought is a signal, every belief a command, every expectation an invitation to the divine. When God gives you a glimpse of what's coming, it's not imagination, it's revelation. Your belief system becomes the channel through which that revelation flows into your life. You must understand that belief is creative power. It is the invisible architect shaping your visible world. You don't get what you want, you get what you expect. Expectation is like a spiritual law. It doesn't discriminate between positive or negative. It simply mirrors back whatever energy you project. If you expect delays, you attract delays. If you expect blessings, you attract blessings. That's why God constantly tells you to have faith, because faith isn't just a religious idea, it's a spiritual technology. Faith reprograms your subconscious mind to align with divine outcomes. When you believe deeply, you create a vibration strong enough to draw the unseen into the seen. The moment you start believing that what God promised you is on its way, the universe begins to rearrange itself to make it happen. Circumstances shift, opportunities emerge, and people cross your path seemingly by coincidence, but none of it is coincidence. It's divine orchestration responding to your expectation. Many people sabotage their own breakthroughs because they speak faith but think fear. They say, "I know God can do it," but internally they doubt whether it will ever happen for them. That double energy creates confusion in the spiritual realm. You can't manifest divine promises while holding onto human doubts. You have to choose one. Either you trust that God's word is already in motion, or you keep questioning the process and delay your own destiny. Expectation is the evidence of trust. When you truly expect something, you prepare for it. You make room for it. You think, feel, and act as though it's already on the way. If you say you believe a miracle is coming but still live like it's not, you're telling heaven you're not ready. But when your inner world matches your spoken faith, heaven has no choice but to respond. Think about how seeds work. A farmer plants them because he expects a harvest. He doesn't dig them up every day to check if they're growing. He trusts the process. The same principle applies to your dreams. God is the sower, and your expectation is the soil. When you believe, you water the seed. When you doubt, you dry it out. Your life right now is the harvest of your past expectations. If you want new fruit, you must plant new thoughts. You must cultivate a belief system that aligns with what God told you, not what fear tries to convince you of. Every time you declare it's coming, it's happening, it's done, you are accelerating the manifestation of that word into your reality. The more you speak life over what you believe, the faster it takes form. You were never designed to live by sight alone. What you see is the echo of what you once believed. The real creative power exists in the unseen, in your imagination, your emotion, your expectation. When you visualize what God promised and feel the emotion of already having it, you send a clear signal to heaven that you are in agreement with the divine plan. The more consistent that signal becomes, the stronger your attraction grows. Expectation is faith in motion. It is prayer in action. It is the language heaven understands best. When you expect something with unwavering faith, you activate a spiritual momentum that can't be stopped by time, circumstance, or human limitation. There will be moments when it looks like nothing is changing, when everything seems still, but those are the moments when your expectation is being tested. The question is never whether God can do it. The question is whether you'll keep expecting it even when there is no evidence. That's the level of belief that separates ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. When you hold your expectation firm, even in silence, even in uncertainty, you are demonstrating alignment with divine law. The universe bends to sustained belief. When you expect with conviction, you move from wishing to knowing, from hoping to receiving, from waiting to walking in the reality that God already prepared for you. Every divine transformation begins with disruption. Before a new chapter unfolds, the old one must close. Life has a rhythm, a cycle that God orchestrates perfectly, and when one season comes to its end, the shift begins. You may not recognize it at first. Things that once felt secure start to shake. Relationships that once fit begin to drift, and paths that once seemed clear suddenly blur. It feels uncomfortable, sometimes even painful, but this is not destruction, it's preparation. God never subtracts without the intention to multiply. What seems like loss is often divine repositioning. The doors that close are not meant to punish you. They are designed to redirect you toward the place where your next level awaits. When everything around you feels uncertain, it's because heaven is reorganizing the structure of your life to make room for what you prayed for. You must understand that the old version of you cannot enter the new season God has prepared. Every shift demands transformation. The habits, the thoughts, the people, the environments that served you in the past may not align with the vibration of your future. So when things start to fall apart, it's not rejection, it's refinement. God is removing what can't go with you. He's pruning the branches of your life so that you can bear greater fruit. The shaking you feel isn't the end. It's the sign that a new foundation is being laid. This is the moment when you're being invited to trust the unseen more than the seen. Everything external may look like it's collapsing, but internally something powerful is awakening. The shift is never random. It's heaven's way of saying, asterisk, you've outgrown this level. Asterisk, you may have been comfortable where you were, but comfort is the enemy of growth. God will disturb your peace to protect your purpose. He will create divine discomfort so you can no longer settle for smallness. The opportunities that disappear, the friendships that fade, the routines that suddenly feel empty, these are not signs of failure. They are signs of transition. Every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. What you perceive as delay is divine timing aligning all the pieces for your next assignment. The universe knows exactly when to open the next door, but first, it must close the one that has expired. There comes a moment when you can feel that a change is coming even before you can explain it. Something inside whispers that the old way of living no longer fits the new energy rising within you. That's the spiritual shift. You might resist it at first, because letting go is rarely easy, but the truth is, you can't step into tomorrow while clinging to yesterday. God will never allow you to remain in a place that limits your potential. When He senses that your environment is no longer serving your evolution, He will shake it until you move. The more you resist, the harder the shaking feels. But the moment you surrender and trust that every disruption has divine purpose, peace begins to return. When life feels uncertain, Remember that heaven operates through alignment, not accident. You are being guided toward divine positioning, that exact place, moment, and mindset where God's promise can manifest. Sometimes that means being stripped of what's familiar so you can receive what's meant for you. The job loss, the friendship that ended, the unexpected move, the sudden shift in plans, all of it is choreography, not chaos. You're being placed exactly where you need to be for what's about to unfold. The path may twist, but it's still leading you home to your higher purpose. During the shift, you might feel isolated, as though the world is moving without you. But isolation is incubation. It's where the next version of you is born. When God separates you from distractions, He's giving you space to evolve. This is the sacred pause before the promise. The stillness you're forced into is where divine downloads happen, where you hear what you couldn't hear in the noise. You're being redefined, reshaped, and realigned with your next level. Every shift tests your faith because it strips away certainty. But that's the beauty of divine transition. It forces you to rely not on what you can see, but on what you can sense. When the old season ends, it's because your spirit has already moved ahead, even if your body hasn't caught up yet. You are being pulled forward by destiny, and everything that feels like loss is simply what can't survive your elevation. God's timing is never random. The shift is not something happening to you, it's something happening for you. You are being moved from where you were to where you belong. There is a divine rhythm that governs the universe, and when you align your life with that rhythm, everything begins to flow effortlessly. Alignment is not about striving, it's about synchronizing your inner world with heaven's order. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions vibrate at the same frequency as faith, you become a vessel through which divine energy moves freely. God's plan for your life is already complete, already written, already finished in the invisible realm, but you must align your frequency to receive it. Most people are praying for blessings while living in contradiction to the very energy that creates them. They ask for miracles but think in fear. They speak about abundance but act from scarcity. They dream of love but dwell in doubt. Heaven does not respond to confusion, it responds to conviction. Alignment is when your belief, your words, and your actions all move in the same direction, declaring the same truth that what God promised is already yours. When you align with divine energy, life begins to mirror your internal state. Everything external is a reflection of what you consistently hold within. If your heart is full of fear, you attract experiences that confirm that fear. If your heart is full of faith, you attract opportunities that confirm that faith. The power that governs creation operates through vibration, and faith is the highest vibration you can carry. It's not blind optimism, it's spiritual certainty. When you truly believe that what you desire is already done, your emotions rise to meet that belief, and your behavior naturally adjusts to match it. You stop chasing outcomes and start attracting them. This is what it means to be in alignment, to live as if the promise is already fulfilled. The reason many people never experience breakthrough is because their energy is divided. They pray for one thing while worrying about the opposite. They declare that they trust God, but spend their days analyzing how things could go wrong. This split energy creates interference in the spiritual current that connects you to divine manifestation. You can't expect the flow of heaven to move freely when your internal channel is clogged with fear, resentment, and doubt. To align with God's frequency, you must cleanse your thoughts. You must release the emotional baggage that keeps you vibrating at the level of your past. Gratitude becomes your reset button. Every time you choose gratitude, you shift into the frequency of abundance. Every time you choose faith over fear, you tune into the channel of divine provision. Alignment is a daily practice, a conscious decision to think higher, to feel lighter, to move with purpose, even when you don't yet see results. When your mind and emotions harmonize with your faith, divine timing accelerates. You stop forcing things to happen and begin to notice how life unfolds perfectly on its own. The right people show up, the right doors open, the right ideas drop into your mind at the right moment. This isn't coincidence, it's consequence. The law of alignment states that the external must reflect the internal. So if you want your reality to change, you must first elevate your vibration to match the reality you desire. God has already prepared the blessing, but He cannot deliver it to a frequency of doubt. You must rise to meet it through belief, gratitude, and unwavering expectation. The key is not to ask for what you want, and then wait nervously to align with it emotionally, as though you already have it. This kind of alignment transforms how you live. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, carry yourself differently. You stop pleading with heaven and start partnering with it. You realize that manifestation is not about begging God for favor. It's about coming into agreement with the favor that already exists. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align with divine truth, heaven recognizes its reflection in you and responds. You become a magnet for miracles, not because you are demanding them, but because your energy matches their frequency. That is the essence of divine alignment. It's not about doing more, it's about being more. It's about existing in a state of harmony with what heaven has already decided is yours. When your inner world becomes peaceful, your outer world begins to mirror that peace. When your inner conversation is faith-filled, your environment starts to echo that vibration back to you. Everything you seek already exists. Alignment simply allows you to experience it in its fullest form. There comes a time in every spiritual journey when everything goes quiet. You've received the promise, you've seen the vision, you've felt the confirmation deep within your soul, but then suddenly nothing seems to move. Doors that once opened easily now remain closed, opportunities slow down, prayers feel like they hang in the air without response. This is the waiting room of faith, the divine pause between revelation and manifestation. It's the space where heaven works in silence while the human heart learns patience. God uses this period not to punish you, but to prepare you. Before the promise can appear in your life, your character must be able to sustain it. Every delay you experience is a form of divine design, shaping you for what you've been destined to carry. Waiting is not inactivity, it's internal activity. It's where the unseen foundation is being laid for what's coming next. The waiting room is where you are trained to trust the invisible. You can't rush the process, no matter how much you want to. God doesn't operate by your calendar, He operates by your readiness. The dream you have is real, but before it can take shape in your hands, it must take shape in your spirit. Patience refines you. It develops the endurance, humility, and strength necessary for divine stewardship. When nothing seems to be happening, that's when everything is happening behind the scenes. Just as a seed germinates in darkness before breaking through the soil, your breakthrough is being cultivated in the hidden spaces of time. You may not see evidence, but every quiet day, every unanswered prayer, every moment of silence is preparing you for acceleration. The challenge of waiting is that it confronts your need for control. You can't manipulate divine timing. You can't push God's hand, no matter how hard you try. The only thing you can control is your faith. What you do in the waiting determines how quickly you align with what's coming. If you spend your waiting season in doubt, fear, or frustration, you slow the process. But if you spend it in gratitude, worship, and expectation, you speed it up. The waiting room becomes your training ground. It teaches you how to stand firm even when there's no visible progress. It strengthens your faith muscles, stretches your perspective, and builds your emotional endurance. When you finally step into your promise, you'll realize that the waiting wasn't wasted time, it was necessary preparation. There's a reason God often hides progress from your eyes. If you could see every step, you'd lose the need for faith. Faith grows in the unknown. The silence forces you to depend not on what you can see, but on what you believe. Waiting purifies your motives. It reveals whether you want the promise because of pride or purpose. Many people ask for elevation, but aren't prepared for the weight that comes with it. The waiting room is where God removes the excess, the fear, the ego, the impatience, and replaces it with resilience, wisdom, and peace. He teaches you that delayed doesn't mean denied. What looks like stillness is divine synchronization. While you wait, heaven is aligning resources, people, opportunities, and timing so that when your moment comes, it unfolds perfectly. This season also teaches surrender. You learn that faith isn't just believing for what you want, it's trusting God's timing to bring it when you're ready. The waiting room humbles your spirit. It makes you let go of the illusion that you're in control. It trains your heart to say, even if I can't see it, I still believe it. That's when transformation happens, not when the promise arrives, but while you're being molded to receive it. Every great destiny requires stillness before motion. Every miracle requires silence before sound. The longer the waiting, the greater the preparation, because what's being built for you carries eternal weight. While you wait, learn to see the beauty in small signs, the whisper of peace after prayer, the inner nudge to keep believing, the random confirmation that reminds you not to give up. Those are God's subtle reassurances that He's still working. You are not forgotten, you are being fortified. This is the season where faith matures from mere belief into unwavering conviction. You stop begging for evidence and start walking in quiet confidence. You realize that even silence speaks when you're tuned to the divine. Waiting transforms your perspective from "why is this happening?" to "what is this teaching me?" It shifts your focus from the delay to the development. Every moment in the waiting room is sacred. It's the invisible classroom where patience, faith, and strength are taught through experience. What looks like nothing is the stage being set for everything. When God gives you a word, a vision, or a revelation of what's about to happen, He isn't describing something that's going to be created. He's revealing something that's already finished in the spiritual realm. You're not waiting for God to make it happen. He's waiting for you to walk into what's already been completed. Every divine promise exists first in the unseen. It's like a seed that's already fully grown in the mind of the Creator, waiting for your faith to activate it in your world. The moment you believe, the unseen begins to move toward visibility. The physical realm is always catching up to what's already true in the invisible. You're not chasing destiny, you're aligning with it. You're not trying to make it happen, you're allowing it to unfold through obedience, trust, and unwavering faith. Most people struggle because they think manifestation means effort, but spiritual unfolding means alignment. When you're in sync with divine timing, things that once required force begin to flow naturally. The phone call comes at the right time, the door opens without you knocking, the opportunity appears in perfect sequence. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that what was already written is finally being revealed. God finishes things before He starts them. You were predestined for purpose before you ever took your first breath. Every challenge, every delay, every detour was part of the design to position you for what was already yours. The key is to stop striving and start trusting. You don't have to fight for what's already been assigned to you. What's meant for you cannot be stolen, delayed, or destroyed. It can only be revealed in its appointed time. Faith is the bridge between what's already done and what's not yet seen. When you move in faith, you step into alignment with heaven's blueprint. You may not see the full picture, but you carry a knowing, that deep inner conviction that says, asterisk, I don't have to see it to believe it because it's already real. Asterisk, that's the mindset of divine unfolding. Every step you take in obedience releases another piece of the vision. God doesn't show you the entire staircase. He gives you one step at a time, because if you saw it all at once, your faith wouldn't grow. The process of unfolding is the process of transformation. As you walk, you're being shaped into the person who can handle the promise. Each act of faith aligns you deeper with the finished work that's waiting for you. You have to understand that manifestation is not creation, it's revelation. You're not creating blessings, you're uncovering them. They already exist in a higher dimension, and faith acts as the translator that brings them into form. When you speak what God has spoken, you activate divine law. Your words carry power because they echo what heaven has already declared. That's why your declarations matter when you say it's done. You are not trying to convince yourself. You are agreeing with what's already been completed. Every time you speak in faith, you pull the invisible closer to the visible. The unseen responds to conviction, not hesitation. You can't walk in divine unfolding while carrying doubt. Doubt delays revelation. Faith reveals it. The unfolding also requires timing. There are layers to every promise, and each layer appears when you're spiritually ready for it. You may think God is holding something back, but in truth, He's holding it in place until your mindset matches your mission. The promise isn't being delayed, it's being protected. If you received it too soon, it could crush you instead of bless you. That's why patience and preparation are intertwined with manifestation. The moment your energy, belief, and actions align with divine intention, the veil lifts, and what you've been waiting for walks right into your experience. That's the moment of realization when the unseen becomes undeniable. Walking into what God already finished means living with certainty, not anxiety. You stop begging for signs and start moving with assurance. You realize that your steps are guided by something far greater than coincidence. Every encounter, every challenge, every divine interruption is a clue pointing you toward fulfillment. The path may twist, but it never breaks. You are walking through a script heaven already wrote. Each day, each decision, each act of courage brings you closer to full manifestation. What you once called a miracle is simply alignment catching up with revelation. The more you trust the process, the faster the unfolding becomes. You don't chase the blessing, you become it. You live, speak, and act from the awareness that what God told you is not about to happen, it's already done. And you're just stepping into the evidence of it with every breath you take.